We're going to talk about Jose Mourinho for a while, haven't we? Well, this is what he had to say about managing again. I know exactly what I don't want. That is why I've turned down 3 or 4 offers. I know what I want, not the name of the club, but the type of work and the workload. He continues, I want to coach a team starting in June in time for pre-season. Well, we all want different things, don't we, Gab Marcotti? Will he get it, though? Will he get the chance at another big club, considering what happened at United?
I think there's a decent chance that he will get a shot, maybe not at the very biggest club. I think he might need to wait for that opening to come. But he himself has spoken about, a club with the ambition to go and be a big club, a comparison, a club like where Inter Milan were when he joined them. But it's funny, he mentions 3 or 4 job offers. He gave one of his first interviews after leaving United on January 19th. And he mentioned the 3 or 4 job offers he's turned down then. So that was more than 2 months ago. I'm surprised he hasn't gotten a couple more in the interim.
Detective Gab. You said in January 19th it was 3 or 4.
You said?
You'd be, as a fan, I'd be hesitant. As opposed to in the past, if Jose Mourinho came in, you thought, right, OK, this is a man that's going to win us trophies. That has somewhat diluted, hasn't it?
Yes, it's gone away, actually. And if I were advising Jose Mourinho, and I know he will listen to me, and I will tell him, Jose, it's time for you to walk away from club management. And it's time for you to take over a national team.
Right.
Because he just talked about workload. I think he's got to reduce the workload. I think he's got to focus on the 10 days he's got together with the national team camp, and then those players only come in and perform for him during that time, and then they go away. See, he has become a very sort of debilitating manager for players. And for whatever reason, whatever attention he brings to a club seems to have a negative impact on the performance of players. So maybe, since you're going to have him for a reduced period of time, you come in, you do your job, you go back to your club. And the same thing for him. He comes, focuses on that time, and then that's it. That's what I would do if I were him.
But this is a guy whose resume, you can argue, is second to none when you look at the other managers who are out there.
Absolutely, but it's that his recent career. I mean, look what he's done to football clubs. Look what he's done to owners. Look what he's done to teams, players, you name it. He's been very destructive. I don't think that any owner of a football club in their right mind would want to rehire him at the moment. If they do, they have got to delve very deeply into what his thought process is. I think if you read between the lines in those quotes, Dan, I think it screams out that he wants to work in international football. It just does. And whether the Portuguese job comes up or whatever, I think that's going to be the destiny of Mourinho.
We talked about pre-season training, though. That kind of all hints at club. Go on, Gab.
No, I was just going to say about the international job. He has talked in the past how he wants to manage Portugal one day. There's a bit of an issue, though, with Portugal, which is that Cristiano Ronaldo is still there. And, of course, Cristiano Ronaldo is the guy who's going to decide when he walks away. I would imagine that, Cristiano Ronaldo would rather walk around with a paper bag over his head for the rest of his life than have Jose Mourinho as his manager again. So that's really not an option right now. The other issue with him is he's really, really expensive. And, a big European team or a big South American team, they're not going to throw that kind of money at an international manager if on top of that it's Jose Mourinho.
Gab, you mentioned Inter before, obviously considering the success he had there in the past, a club of that sort of stature. Is Inter probably at the top of the list that maybe you suggest that he could go to?
Well, it's funny because not in this interview, but in another one, when he brought up Inter, he talked about how the conditions were perfect, the job he did was perfect, everything was perfect. And for that reason, maybe he shouldn't go back there because it's never as perfect the second time around as we learned at Chelsea. I also suspect that, Inter don't feel that he's the right guy for them because remember, they've had financial fair play issues. They have an older squad. They have a very rich owner, but they also have restrictions. I don't know that there's this great appetite on the part of the club's owners. The fans might be a little bit different because, of course, they have nothing but happy memories. But, of course, Chelsea fans had nothing but happy memories of Jose Mourinho until he came back.
So what are we left with, Gab, when you take a look at the possibilities, if we focus on Europe and the big leagues? Premier League, none, you would suggest, yeah? None of the top 6, I don't think, would go for Jose Mourinho. In France, there's really only PSG, and Tuchel's going to stay there. Italy, Spain, you know, where can you see it happening? Where does it all fit for you?
I'm purely speculating here, so please bear that in mind, but that's what you asked. I think he wants another real top-tier job. And, you know, if it gets to be sort of April and May and that doesn't materialize, I think he would consider moving to a job at the galaxy of clubs where his agent, George Mendes, has, can I put this, friends. And so those are clubs, you know, like Monaco, for example, for some kind of rebuild. Okay, Wolverhampton Wanderers sounds absurd, but there's an obvious connection there. Possibly Atletico Madrid, should Simeone move on. Possibly Valencia. I think he would his options would be something like that, or stick around, wait for the next big club to screw up and panic, and then go and go there the way, which is how, of course, he got to Manchester United in the first place.